Alright, so this one today is for all you offended motherfuckers out there who, not with my videos, because obviously nobody's getting offended by my videos because they don't fucking watch them, which is fine, because they suck dick anyways, so I don't care. Totally not salty. But I keep seeing this, and this is off the back of the whole PewDiePie is promoting a anti-Semitic channel, which I'm not saying whether the channel is anti-Semitic or not. That's not what I'm speaking on whatsoever. What I'm speaking on is some of the, because I have watched like a couple of the guy's videos, and some of them might be construed as anti-Semitic. Like I said, I'm not speaking on that. I'm not giving my opinion. But some of these are obviously, something like satire. And then also there's a lot of jokes that PewDiePie makes and stuff like that, where those jokes are obviously satire. But yet there are those publications and those people who take it to the next level, such as like, he's a racist, he's an anti-Semite, he's a fascist, Nazi, Hitler supporting fuckface, asshole. And you browse Reddit and you just see all of this fucking vitriolic shit being spewed out of people's mouth. Well, more specifically, through their fingers into their computer, and then it makes its way onto your screen at the end of the day. But the problem is, a lot of these people don't know how to take a joke, and they're so ready to get offended on behalf of other people that they don't stop to think whether A, these people are actually offended to begin with, and B, whether it was satirical or not. We have a lot of people nowadays who just look at something and they're like, oh my god, that's a joke about someone who is not a straight white cis male, so we can't make that joke because those are the only people that don't get offended by jokes about them, and everybody else has to be protected. Now, I'm not saying that racism or anti-Semitism or, misogyny does not exist, because I know it does. That much is plainly obvious. But what I'm saying is people take their rallying against the people who they think is racist too far, and they lump everybody together. Sorry, not just racist, but bigots, right? They lump all bigots in together, and anybody who they think is a bigot, regardless of whether there's any factual proof as to whether or not they are a bigot, and then they riot against them. They pick up their torches and pitchforks and start marching their direction as if there's nothing in the world that they have ever done wrong, so they are the righteous ones that should take it out on the people who they think are unrighteous. A lot like the main character of Death Note, an anime I haven't watched, but I did see a video about it, so we'll assume that I can liken these people to light in the sense that they feel like they are the moral column of the world. But nobody ever stops to think maybe these stereotypical or jokes, because I think racial humor is important. I want to make that point clear. There is obviously a line that you can cross and just be completely racist or anti-Semitic or bigoted just in general, right? But racial humor or stereotypical humor, racial humor, ableist humor, which I think ableism is a weird one. I'm not really going to get into that right now. I think it's important because everybody needs to learn to laugh at themselves, regardless of your age, race, gender, abilities, or ancestral background. You should always be able to laugh at yourself, because if you take yourself too seriously, you think the world is a dark and dreary place, and anybody who tries to make light of it is a fucking Nazi or something like that. I don't know. So you have to tear them down. And it just makes you a miserable fucking person, and no one really wants to be around you. So I'm gonna make a few examples, and you can get fucking offended or not. I don't care, because you should look at these things from an objective point of view. And a lot of people have this problem where they think that their subjective opinion is factually objective, when that is very much an oxymoron. They think that their opinion is the moral baseline, and you are not. I'm sorry. There is no such thing as a moral baseline. So get the fuck out of here with that. So take for instance, if I was to make a joke about and this is from personal experience. I'm not citing examples that I'm making up. These are situations that have actually me or people I know have been in. Take for instance, say if I were to make a joke about a black guy liking watermelon and fried chicken. And this is, like I said, this is something that's actually happened. And said black guy goes, "Hey, I like fried chicken and watermelon. What's wrong with fried chicken and watermelon?" It's funny. It is. Well, obviously, humor is subjective. Not everybody's going to be like, "Oh, that's funny." Some people might be like, "Oh, that's unoriginal." Some people might be like, "Oh, that's racist." Some people might be like, "I just don't particularly find that type of humor funny." Whatever, right? But if the black guy finds it, the black guy found it funny, by the way. Just gonna point that out, because it's a stereotype. And by the way, stereotypes are based off of something that is, largely true. Not necessarily 100%. Obviously, stereotypes are also exaggerated for the humor of it, but they exist because they are a stereotype. If you want to look up the definition of a stereotype, the word defines itself. It's a typical trait of a group of people. But what makes it even more funny is that plenty of people who are not black like fried chicken and watermelon. So obviously it's a ridiculous cultural joke that doesn't specifically apply to black people. Everybody can come together, well, not everybody, because there are, people who don't need it, but a lot of people can come together on liking fried chicken. A lot of people can come together on liking watermelon. A lot of people can come together on liking grape Kool-Aid. They're very relatively universally liked things. I'm not a huge fan of watermelon, but I like fried chicken and I like grape Kool-Aid. Does that mean I'm a fucking does that make me black? No. Does that make me a fucking cultural appropriating, wannabe? No, it doesn't. It's a joke. It's just like saying a Mexican guy, they're like, they all just eat beans and rice and tacos. Now keep in mind, that's a stereotype because a lot of them do. If you, and trust me from experience, my stepmom is Mexican. The majority of the cuisine that they make is of that type. It's Hispanic cultural food. It's what they make, and it's not bad. Plenty of people, the majority of people like tacos and beans and rice. It's good shit, but it's a stereotype. And it's funny because you can make a joke of it and realize that it doesn't actually need to make 100% sense. That's the beauty of it. Everyone can come together on liking these things and be like, "Oh, but these people like it more than we do. Ha ha." Cultural joke. Just like white people do crazy shit, like jump out of planes and crazy shit like that. And obviously I'm taking it to an extreme or whatever. White people like caviar, or I don't know. I don't really hear much white stereotypical things just because, like, I don't know. I don't go out of my way looking for it. I'm sure there's plenty of it, and I'm sure it's funnier than most other shit, to be honest. But just because, in my experience, white people do a lot of shit that's weirder than most other races do. They tend to be more, like, adventurous, bordering on suicidal sometimes. So, but it's just like Asian people only eat rice and fish, or their pussies all smell like fish, or whatever. It's ridiculous. And that's the thing. It is a stereotype, but it's taken to a ridiculous level there to be close, borderline untrue, and that's where the humor comes from. Same if we were to make a joke about the Jews and stuff like that. Is some of it culturally insensitive? Yeah, a little bit. But that's where the humor comes from, because you have to learn to laugh about these things. Especially if they're like negative things from the past. Like if you're going to make jokes about slavery or the Holocaust or something, or 9/11, you can do it, but you have to do so in a tasteful way. Otherwise, you're a racist. Obviously, you can't just be like, haha, black people, why don't you go back to being slaves? Obviously, that's fucking, first of all, it's not even funny. Second of all, it's not very, like I said, it's not funny, so it's just gonna fall flat on its face. I don't think I need to explain the further context as to why it's not funny. It's pretty self-explanatory. Same with the Jews. Like, why don't we just finish killing you all off? Like, it's not funny. There's no punchline there, and it's it's put in a way where it's like there's no. Obviously, it's an attempt at a joke, but it's a shitty one, so it's not going to come across as well. If your joke doesn't land, obviously, you're just going to come across as being a fucking racist, so you have to be careful with that. But you also have to make sure that you're not, that you're obviously portraying that you don't believe the shit that you're saying. It's so ludicrous that it's a joke. It's just like seeing an insane person do something insane. It's so fucked up and weird and unbelievable that it's funny. That's the point. So, take for instance, if I was to make a different joke about, like, how do I do this without sounding like a racist? Because I'm actually really bad at telling jokes. So, I can't think up a good Holocaust joke or slavery joke off the top of my head. Just because, I do this all in one take and think of all this stuff on the spot. It's kind of like a speech practice for me. So, I'm not good at coming up with stuff off the top of my head. So, you know what? I'm not even going to go there right now. People are free to, like, come up with decent Holocaust and slavery jokes. Like, if you were to make a joke about any sort of Holocaust or genocide, Trail of Tears, slavery, Tiananmen Square, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they are fucked up. That's the thing. These are horrific events in human history. I think everybody can agree on this shit. Aside from like a few fucking psychos. But eventually you have to learn to laugh at this stuff, because otherwise you're just going to be moping about it for the rest of your... Joking about it is part of the recovery process. Once you know that you can make a joke about something and people can actually laugh, you take its power away. It no longer has its dark hold on you. Therefore, you can look at it and say, yes, this is fucked up, but I'm going to make a joke about that to belittle that the negative impact that event had. I'm going to recognize that it's a horrible thing that should never happen and raise awareness through this joke, while also saying, fuck that, it's so ludicrous that humans actually did something crazy like that. You're belittling the people who carried out those tragic events. You have to take its power away. And some people are like, well, you shouldn't. It has to have its power. Otherwise, we're just gonna circle back. No, that's not how that happens. You never had the level of comedy that people have nowadays, where they were able to make fun of tragedies without significant criticism. Because up until recent years, which is when most of the, in the last 2 centuries, 2 to 3 centuries, sorry, is when most of this horrific shit happened. Obviously, there's a lot of horrific shit that happened before then, like crusades and, conquering by the Huns and shit like that. But they're not as well documented, and, they're so far back in human history that it's not really, like, current or topical. So it's harder to make a joke about it as well. Topicality is something that goes into the formation of a joke. So in theory, the Holocaust is still technically topical because it happened within the last 100 years. Like I said, I'm not saying the Holocaust is funny. It's not. But you have to be able to make jokes about fucked up shit. It helps you cope with the fucking darkness that is human society. Humans are inherently fucked up, and you have to work against that. So joking about Hitler takes his power away. You make him the joke. You make him the butt of the joke, and it takes his power away. You make slavery the butt of the joke. Obviously, like if you're doing racial humor about the Holocaust or slavery, you have to make the heinous act the butt of the joke. And then, like I said, it takes its power away. You realize, oh, that shit's fucking, like, nobody wants that. You're a fucking loser, Holocaust. Get the fuck out of my face. Or you suck dick, slavery. Nobody wants to be your fucking friend. Get out of my face. So you have to take that into account. Also, I want to go back to this. A lot of people get offended on behalf of other people. For what fucking reason, I have no idea. But you do not need to be offended on behalf of other people. They have plenty of room to be offended on their own. And the majority of the time, say if I was to make a joke about someone being in a wheelchair to that person, they're most likely going to laugh about it. Because what are they going to do? Fucking cry about it? Like, oh no, I'm in a wheelchair. I can't believe you brought it up. I completely forgot I was in a wheelchair. No. They're going to be like, yeah, life fucking sucks, but I'm in a wheelchair and I'm going to laugh about it because the only alternative is being fucking miserable. And that sucks. And that's life. You have to joke about the fucked up things in life, because otherwise you're just gonna be a sad sack of shit. It's like I'm in a fucking rough position in life. Like, I'm a bum. I have suffered the majority of my life with a severe lack of motivation to do anything, and I still have no idea what I want to do in life, and I'm gonna be 21 in less than a month. And it gets to me. It is fucking depressing as shit. Here I am living in my mom's fucking backyard, not doing anything with myself because I'm not only lazy, but just don't fucking have the desire to do anything with myself. So I joke about it, because the only alternative is moping around and being fucking depressed. And I don't like being depressed. It's much better to be able to enjoy myself and move on. And once I can make a joke about it, it helps take the power away from it and motivate me. I'm like, yeah, I can make a joke about it, but I also recognize that I need to be better. And that's the beautiful thing about comedy. You're able to shit on anything and anyone, and everyone knows it's just a fucking joke. And you can move on with your life. And I think a lot of people forget that nowadays. Even in comedy, people are like, oh my god, I'm offended about that joke that you made. It's like, oh, I mean, you can be offended about that joke that you made, but you don't have to rally people to your side like, fuck you, we need to take him down. No. I mean, you're perfectly, like, you have your own rights, but you should not stir a mob to take down someone whose joke you don't agree with or whose opinion you don't agree with. Everybody's entitled to their own fucking opinion, by the way. I hate how people forget that. You want to rally against people who have a differing opinion to you and completely shut them up and put them down because you think that they're just the worst fucking human being. But you don't ever consider that maybe they want to work towards a better world just like you do, but might have a different thought process on how they want to accomplish that. You don't want to sit down and try to work out a process that you can both agree with on that. You just want to fucking tear them down and do it your way. You are a non-team player. The only team you play on is your little fucking echo chamber. And that goes to every side of the fucking political spectrum. Left, right, up, down, forward, back. It doesn't fucking matter. South, west, northeast. Everybody is guilty. Every side is guilty of it. Regardless of whether you're a racist or an inclusivist or, fucking vegan or meat eater. It doesn't matter. Everybody is guilty of it nowadays, and it pisses me off. And it's just, everybody needs to learn to laugh at their differences and work together to find a solution and stop taking everything so fucking seriously. Like, God for fucking bid you lighten up every now and then. But anyways, I've let this drag on for over 20 minutes, so I'm gonna see if I can't cut this down a little bit. So, see ya in the next one.